Hello everybody, Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I want to pick up a little bit on where I left off with the Harrison Butker situation, his commencement speech at Benedictine College back on May the 11th, a few short days after we celebrated Mother's Day. And boy, did his comments ever set a bit of a fire off in this country right now and around the world a bit. And right now, people are pretty much encamped on either side of this discussion, but let's go back a little bit and see what's been the fuel for a lot of this resentment or pushback that he's getting right now, especially from the left and the feminist groups and things like that, who apparently didn't listen to his speech. They heard what they wanted to hear. And this is part of the problem with the disconnect that we have with communication in the world right now, and why I say it's important that words matter. So these people who are in opposition to what Mr. Butker said are living in a reality or a skewed dimension to where you hit one of these trigger words and they stop listening altogether. They go into a projected or preset cast of how they're supposed to react to these things. And this is how they've been trained. And this is how their education system and our social systems have kind of taken root in us over the last 65, 70 years or so that I can talk about, at least from my experience. So I thought it'd be kind of interesting to go back and let's see how we got here in some of these feminist minds. So with that, I have a few prepared notes here, but the sexual revolution, I think, began in the 1960s. The early 1960s was when the first controllable method of birth control was delivered to women around the world in the form of the pill. And what the pill did is it changed the implications of sex and opened women up to disregarding the procreation aspects of having sex and these natural reasons that they would not participate, and men would not participate in active sex lives outside of marriage or larger commitments until these points in their relationships had come to pass. And what it did was it allowed women and men to turn sex into a recreational activity with no real consequences. And that's what led to what people today call having a hookup, just getting together for a one-night stand, or not even the night, just for a few moments, to hook up and have sex with no emotional attachments and things like that, just a completely physical act. They consider it to be much like a massage. So with that frame of reference going on in the Summer of Love and things like this that we read about, and a lot of you folks are probably too young to remember that, but women took control of the bedroom and they weaponize their vaginas in relationships. Now, I say that kind of, humor, with a bit of humor to it, but they kind of did. They were able to take control over men in this situation, and that power that they were given in that moment, they were able to expand on and put into other areas. If their husband or their man was the provider in the home and they were staying home at this time, whether taking care of kids or the household and things like that, they hadn't entered the workforce, they would demand certain things. They wanted the trappings, they wanted the money, they wanted the money to be spent on them, whether it be in the form of gifts or a new car or things like this. A lot of these things were held ransom in the bedrooms and the relationships. And, a lot of people don't want to talk about that. It happens even in normal married relationships where the woman has, been, a faithful wife, and the man has been trying to build a home with the dollars and things like that. And then it gets to a point where the man wants to actually maybe upgrade the engagement ring that he gave her years ago, or the wedding ring, to get her the proper ring that he feels that she deserves. These are things that men of character and having esteem for their wives want to do. I can tell you from firsthand experience and from all my friends and even my own relationship, when I was working hard and things got difficult, my mind went to my wife and not letting her down. And in so many ways I did, and I feel very, very sorry for that. But there's nothing I can do at this point. But men across the whole spectrum feel a naturalness, I think, about this, and they, even in the midst of the women weaponizing sex and things like that and taking control of it, I think men still had not only an interest in sex. I mean, we're not going to get silly about that, but they had a high regard for their partner and their mate as they saw it. And I think that women were probably along that line too, but they were being very, very selective and putting men through a greater set of challenges to become their mate and be able to marry them or to take them on a lifelong commitment. So what has happened in this power structure, if you will, or this relationship change? What happened in that? Well, what we see today is the men or the guys have no real reason to commit to a relationship, and women complain that men are immature. Well, how did that happen? Well, it happened because women set the terms of having sex to such a low level. There was no expectation of marriage. People don't date with an expectation of marriage anymore. They date with an expectation of ending the evening with sex and having a hookup and then leaving each other the next day, maybe to never see each other again, or enter into another's text chain or anything like this. They basically said, that was it, I'm done, see ya, thank you. So men really have no reason to work for the prize because the women are giving it away. And when there's no struggle for this, there's no chase, there's no trying to put on a show for these women, many are just going home for the cost of a burrito and a large Pepsi, a Taco Bell run. This is apparently an even exchange in their world today, but what it's done is it's devalued things down so much, and what women have done is they've devalued themselves. They threw it all away. They had it. They had the prize. That was themselves and the love and the potential that they brought to the equation. They threw it all away. So now when the women get upset with their men, in their relationships, as you might want to call them these days, these tenuous, superficial relationships, when the women give the men static, the men just say, screw it, I'm out of here. And they don't come back. And the women wonder, what happened? Well, the guy doesn't have any real reason, because he can break up with one relationship at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and by 8 o'clock that evening, he's got another friend that he's working with at the bar or whatever, even at work, picking up somebody else for another hookup. So it's out there because the women aren't protecting each other. They're, looking out for themselves, and the men really don't care. There's no reason for them to hang around. Women are naturally, by their design, are more monogamous, whereas men are not, is the male in the species. This goes pretty much across the board. Several birds and other animals in the kingdom are monogamous for life, but humans, it's been more of a social dictate that's come down from practice and our culture, our traditions that have brought this in, and it's worked quite well. Up until now, no value in it. And so the women have gotten to a point now where they want to be so nice about things and to try to show that they are have the superiority in these moral arguments about identities and things of this nature, that with this whole transgender movement right now and women endorsing men in dresses, what has happened? They've thrown it all away. They threw their womanhood all away. They're not fighting for it. They're not standing up for it. They feel that a man in a dress is a woman, and they're giving him that regard. So much so that they've given everything that they worked for through the women's movement, burning the bras, all this stuff, walking out, protesting, getting the equal pay, things of this nature. They threw it all away because now they're letting a man in a dress tell them what to do. They've yielded their authority to a man in a dress. So what do real men think about things like that? Well, I can tell you, not very much. They think it's ridiculous, and then they think even less of these women who want to support these ideologies. The naturalness is out. And so this is what's fueled this great outcry by people in the media and others who have been trying to sponsor this move by women to empower themselves after they've lost all this other power in their relationships with men. Now they need to exhibit their power in the workforce and positions in the labor markets and other things like this. Take their degrees, go out and change the world, make it into what our ideology calls for. Well, their ideology is basically calling for their own self-destruction. What kind of a success plan is that? So, womanhood is being put down, and they have basically done it to themselves. So this is why I say women need to stand up. They need to get strong. They got to quit being so damn nice and trying to be nice to everybody when they need to start standing up for things before it's all over. Your daughters and granddaughters are in peril. I kid you not. They are not going to have sustainable relationships with men unless they change, because men are going to be much slower to change. That's how they're wired. You can't change nature just because you want to change the meaning of a word. It doesn't work that way. So with this sort of trend in social thought and these moving towards women supposedly being empowered, when a man stands up, the Catholic man, Mr. Butker, stands up and extols Catholic virtues and basically common sense thinking about the natural order of things and how we're wired, it set off a firestorm of people protesting when they only heard one thing. They heard in their minds that he is saying that women don't belong in the workforce, they belong in the home, pregnant and barefoot. That's not what he said at all. That is not even close to what he said at all. But that's what it's been conflated to in these discussions I see online and things like that. So what that tells me is that people are lazy. They don't put the time in before they speak. They're reactionary. And this is where the internet goes. And I'll guarantee you that what you are reacting to or you may be seeing right now is a very, very, very small portion of our community, our population, reacting to these things. And these are people that I guarantee you have not listened to the entirety of the speech. I know one guy who did listen to the entirety of the speech, and that was Bishop Tom Paprocki over in Springfield, Illinois. And I know Bishop Paprocki, and he came to me with a very great, what do I say? I was advised to talk to him by Cardinal George, before he passed away, and I think it was 2014, 2015. But he had told me that I should put my trust in Bishop Paprocki, that I could trust him. And at this time, the trial had just ended, and things were really tough because I was being canceled and shut down. But the cardinal, before he passed away, told me that I should put my trust in Bishop Paprocki. So I followed his writings. He writes a lot. I like what he has to say. And the other day he was interviewed. It was about a 12-minute segment. You can find it out on YouTube. Just search for it. But he was asked about this commencement speech and what he thought about what Mr. Butker had to say, and in particular what Mr. Butker had to say about his concerns about priests and bishops and their lack of diligence and discipline in doing what they're supposed to be doing, and yielding to the world, and I'll say it very, candidly, of people trying to stick their noses up their butts and inflating them full of hot air every time they see them, like, oh, how great you are, and all like this, oh, you're doing such wonderful work. Where on the backside, there's a real stain on the carpet over there that no one wants to talk about. How did that get there? So we have to talk with the whole apple and not just the good parts of it. We have to talk about when it gets spotty and there's some disease in it. We need to cut that out. We need to fix that. But anyway, Bishop Paprocki had some good things to say. And when he was asked about the criticisms of the priests and the bishops, he was asked by the interviewer, he says, well, what do you think about that? He says, well, I'm going to take that as good constructive criticism. And I was really proud in that moment to hear a fellow I call a friend in this to say something like that when he holds so much rank within the community of American bishops here as an authority. The man is a great scholar. He teaches at Notre Dame Law, just a clear thinker. And you should look into more of what Bishop Paprocki has to say. But I was really proud that he took the criticism with a great dose of humility, and I am happy about that because I share the sentiments of Mr. Butker, and a lot of you have seen this before on my podcast here, that we can't let these things keep going on. We need to stand up to these things when we see it in our priests and our bishops. We need to call them out on it. It's our duty to do this. And we were told this by Archbishop Fulton Sheen back during his lectures with Life is Worth Living. He had talked about this since 1947, that the bishops and the priests will not, basically control themselves, and they will not administer discipline across from another priest or bishop. They'll sit quietly by and say, well, this isn't our job to do. We have to be charitable in these things. No, you have to be direct. There's a reason you were ordained. Don't throw it away. Please don't throw it away. We need you. We need you strong. And we need you to stand for things. And we need you to not sit by and let this craziness unfold and say, well, it's got its place in this world. They're all God's children. Well, they're God's children who are sick. And we need to take care of that. So let's not dismiss these things. But I'm very proud of Bishop Paprocki and what he had to say. And he said that the rest of the speech was, giving praise to God, giving praise to the institutions of marriage, giving praise to the women in the workforce, and giving praise to women choosing to stay home and live a traditional life and raise, children in a loving relationship at home, and to build strong character in these children. And this is exactly what our Blessed Mother did. And this is exactly what St. Joseph did. And there's the kicker right now. And I use the word kicker very directly. I've been thinking all throughout this process of what model I can point to in our world today for men to emulate and women to understand, who can exemplify the role of Saint Joseph in the Holy Family. And I think we found it in the form of Harrison Butker. Now, I'm not trying to blow him up, but if you just look at him and you listen to him and you see the confidence with which he speaks and the way he got to that point of confidence. He didn't just arrive there. He was developed into that point. He did a lot of thinking along the way, and he probably didn't think that way, 6 to 8 years ago. Who knows? He's evolved. He's grown into being a man. And what he is doing now is he is honoring his manhood by extolling the virtues of womanhood, his partner. Here's our model, folks. So when I go forward with this, I think that we should all kind of look at who is our model in this world of St. Joseph and I think this guy hits a lot of the points that we need to be thinking about. Strong, steady. He's going to take a lot of pipe. St. Joseph did. He's going to take a lot of pipe. He already is, from his co-workers and his bosses. Well, his bosses directly are endorsing him, but the rest of the league, the NFL, wants to shut him down. And they say this is crazy. This is not who we value. This is not right. Well, I can't wait until the first preseason game or the first NFL game is televised with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he comes out to kick a field goal or an extra point. I want to hear the rousing ovation against the smattering of boos that's probably going to happen at that time. But I want them to turn the microphones up to hear the general round of applause and cheering, and how long that goes on when he steps on the field. Because I firmly believe that the majority and the overwhelming majority of people in this country agree with Mr. Butker when they take the time to listen to what he had to say and why he was saying it. So I think you need to balance things out about the small percentage of people out there that are getting all the noise on the internet and in the media and things like this. You just have to realize what it is. It's nuttiness. It's the snowflakes flying around in the snow globe. Stay still, stay on point, know who you are, and let's take this thing to the next level. Let's not forget, but let's use this as fuel. So I'm really proud of this man. I'm really proud of the dialogue that's going on with this, and I can't agree with him more on these things. So men, we need you to stand up, take charge of this. Women, let the men stand up. They love you. They want to be there for you. Let them stand up and get their role back. Make them earn it. And guys, if you screw up, we're going to be on you too. So let's not take this as a dismissive gesture that's going on. Let's not treat this like sex became after the pill came along. We're not inoculated from it. Even though they had all this, freedom of sex and all like that, the one thing they were afraid of, gonorrhea. So this was the one thing that nobody wanted to get, but that was where there was an epidemic of gonorrhea and STDs happened this time with this free love. So this is an amazing time to be alive. It's an amazing time to have a platform like this, and I thank you for all your generous comments that come back in through the email. I wish you put more of them up on the comments section under the YouTube. Please like this if you like it, and please share it with people, and subscribe. I need more subscribers so I can hit the certain levels in the YouTube platform here to start opening up more things so I can do more for you. So we need to get more subscribers in here. I know I haven't even done any advertising yet. Everything's been word of mouth, and I'm trying to get a library of segments up here so that people can come in and they can get a better understanding for me if they come in as a first-time viewer. So I'm hoping to generate some camaraderie here, so help me out with that. Help yourself out with that. So in the meantime, I love you, and I'll be back.